This alarm fills the night with terror, for high on a mountainside, a mysterious fear such as no human being has ever seen before.
Where there are mountains, there are always clouds.
But this one remains static. On the side of the Trollenberg, it never moves.
Freak of nature.
A radioactive freak of nature.
It strikes without warning, wreaking death and destruction too horrible to behold. A force of evil that tortures its victims and hurls them mercilessly to the brink of murder and madness. What is it? And what does it crave, this creeping horror that hungers and thrives on human flesh, while it inhabits its own silent world that no man can penetrate? No one is safe from its spell of destruction, a cold, hypnotic stare striking fear into the hearts of all, creating a frenzied nightmare for those who behold it.
The cloud is splitting up. There are 4 of them now, and all moving this way.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to 31 Days of Monsters, day 30, the final day before the High Holy Day for all us monster kids. Today we're talking about 1958's The Crawling Eye, known in England as the Trollenberg Terror. I love this movie. I don't know how else to say it. We've seen some bad trailers in our 31 days here, but this is a great trailer. I mean, how could you not want to watch this movie? I mean, they show you the monster. They show you Forrest Tucker is this two-fisted American scientist, kicking some butt. It's got all the suspense. This movie's got everything. And the one thing it has above all else, and you've heard me say this a million times, sincerity. This movie is sort of ridiculous when you think about, this crawling eye, these aliens, and the effects that they were limited to in a low-budget film. But it's really, really quite effective. They believe it, so we believe it. And so that's one of the reasons I love this film so much. It's got a great story written by Jimmy Sangster, who you'll remember wrote Kelly Jones's favorite horror movie, Dracula, Prince of Darkness, among many other things for Hammer Films. This film was directed by Quentin Lawrence, who primarily went on to do a lot of British TV, including The Avengers, Secret Agent Man. There's a couple other shows too, The Invisible Man, a lot of British TV. But interesting background on Quentin Lawrence was that he's a trained physicist. And in World War II, he worked on British radar systems and then came to the United States and worked on the Manhattan Project, which developed the atomic bomb. He holds patents on nuclear reactor control rod technology and television and transmission equipment. And then he gets it, and then he makes this movie about a crawling eye. I just love background stories like that, where guys have gone on to do great things, but nobody knows them from that. We know them from this. Oh God, it's so funny. Anyway, back to The Crawling Eye. We have Forrest Tucker, Lawrence Payne, Jennifer Jane, Janet Monroe, and Warren Mitchell are the main stars in this. Lawrence Payne, Jennifer Jane, Janet Monroe, and Warren Mitchell are all English actors, and Forrest Tucker, obviously, American actor. Warren Mitchell, who plays the old scientist in this film, is actually 5 years younger than Forrest Tucker. It's like Henry Brandon in March of the Wooden Soldiers. He was like 18 and he was playing a guy who was 75 or something. Not quite as bad as that, but I thought that was interesting that he was like 5 years younger than Tuck. Forrest Tucker is great in this film. He's got this just incredible personality whenever he's on film. He's big. He's a big man. He's 6'4". He's bold. He's brash, and he plays, like I said, this two-fisted American scientist in this film. In fact, there's one scene where Lawrence Payne's character, Philip Truscott, who's a newspaper man, comes into Tucker's room and he's unpacking. He looks down and he sees Tucker's got this pistol sitting on his bed, and I just wanted Tucker to look up at him, to this British guy and go, "Yeah, I'm American." That would have been a great line, because he was like sizing up, like, what's this guy got a gun for? And there's when Tucker's in the fight scenes too, he's got so much gusto. He's just really laying it down. What else about this movie? It's just so much fun. It's got so many great visuals. Look at this poster. I mean, that's not what the monster looks like. That's an actual eye with like tentacles coming out of it. But I'd go see that. I always wanted to blow this up. It's a small picture, but to see what comics were on the back of this newspaper he was reading. It was a U.S. paper. It had to be, because he mentions that he was just checking the baseball scores. There's no way they're printing baseball scores in Sweden. And there he is, in all his glory. This is really, really a great looking monster. And when that eye is moving around, this eye right here, back and forth and up and down, it's wet, it's slimy, and it looks like a real eye. The tentacles, maybe not so much, but this is, I love the veins in the head here. This is so great. This creature is sort of reminiscent of the alien from It Came from Outer Space, sort of a one-eyed monster with, although that one seemed to have hair or some type of thing coming off of it, but it looked very much like this. Like I said, the tentacles, they had a problem with, but can you imagine this movie if they could like CGI this? I mean, maybe it'd lose its charm, but there's a little girl in this movie who has to get the award for the worst actress in the world. She goes back to the hotel to get a ball that she had left, and that's when the crawling eye busts a door open, sends his tentacles in, and then Forrest Tucker comes in from stage left, and you hear her screaming, and then we go back, we cut to her and the monster and Forrest Tucker going to pick her up, and she's just sitting there like she's waiting at a bus stop. She has absolutely no emotion whatsoever in this horrific thing. She's just sitting there like waiting, like, am I gonna get a lollipop when this is done? Because I'm just standing here. The one thing, that's it. Everything else is perfect in this movie. Let's see, Janet Monroe. Let's talk a little bit about her. She was a British actress. Was in a few films, but she was dead by age 38. Sort of a sad story there. I remember her, I think the first time I ever saw her was in Darby O'Gill and the Little People, which was made around the same time. What did she die of? She had some bad marriages. She had acute carditis, something like that. Underlying cause was chronic ischemic heart disease. That's tough for 38 years old. But she was in some good films. She was in, like I said, Darby O'Gill. She was also in The Day the Earth Caught Fire. But not, she wasn't in too much. Third Man on the Mountain. It's too bad. Forrest Tucker, he didn't live too long either. He was only 67 when he passed away from emphysema and cancer. He was one of those guys, that generation, that they smoked a lot, and he also drank a lot too. I don't know that he was an alcoholic, but he certainly was one of those group of guys like John Wayne, that were just heavy drinkers. Bogart was the same way. Those guys that could pack it away. So, The Crawling Eye, you got to watch it if you haven't seen it. I saved my two of my all-time favorites for last. Tomorrow, of course, will be The Thing from Another World. So let's see who's in the group this morning. Who's joining us? There's James Allen. Good morning, James. Hyper Kaiju. Good morning. Rob Fellows. So we're going up to Trollenberg. Gonna have a noggin before we start. Care to join us? Yeah, I'll have a scotch. I wrote this. Good Morgen, Monster Liebe Haber. That's German for Good Morning, Monster Lovers. I was trying to tie into the Trollenberg stuff. I know that it's Swiss, but it sounded like it was German. Happy Friday. Sadly, only one more episode and our 31 Days of Monsters will be over. Bring on Westerns, George says. We'll do something. He's got his Hyper Kaiju has his saddlebags packed, partner. All right, I think we're going to have to do some Westerns. Steve Lowe says, good morning, Force of Evil fans. Fearless Freep, good morning, everyone. Sad to see this month come to an end, Scott says, but looking forward to the Star Trek shows in the future. Yep, we'll do that too. Oh, Dr. Mask has not seen this one. Oh, man, you're in for a treat. This is one of those films where I didn't see until probably the mid to late 1980s. Julie and I were, it was a rainy, cold fall day, and this thing came on TV, and we got hooked on it, and we cooked up Stouffer's French bread pizzas and sat and watched this thing. And now whenever we see this movie, all we can think of is French bread pizzas, which, by the way, that's what we had for dinner last night when we watched this movie. Take us back to that first time we saw it. So you're in for a treat, Dr. Mask, when you see this for the first time, because it's anytime you see one of these great movies for the first time, it's wonderful. You wish you could turn back the clock and relive that, Tell me you wouldn't run like hell from that monster. Oh, exactly. It had a whole bunch of tentacles that reached out in front of it, sort of like an octopus when it's swimming. Pop Culture Avenger is here. Good morning. I like Trollenberg Terror as a title, but The Crawling Eye is a much better title for a Misfit song. Yeah, well, the Crawling Eye is definitely much more hyperbolic. Trollenberg Terror sounds like it could be an adventure on a train or a movie about mountain climbing or something like that. The Crawling Eye is pretty hard to mistake for what it is. A horror film. The eye takes off heads. The opening sequence in this film is fantastic when you got these climbers on the mountain, and one of the guy's bodies falls down, and the two guys have to haul him up because they're, attached by ropes while they're climbing. They're in tandem. And they pull him up, and they realize his head has been taken off. There's a couple beheadings in this film, and they're done very well. They just show you enough to where you're like, ugh, Key Davis is checking in with us. Good morning, Key. Dennis Shoemade says, like the Reed Richards of a horror universe. I think he's referring to Tucker. I don't know. I don't know if it was Reed Richards. Reed Richards seems a little more erudite. He's more like a Ben Grimm, I think, No, not Ben Grimm. That would be wrong, too. He's not as rough around the edges. Let's figure out who Tucker would be in the Marvel versus horror universe. Maybe Nick Fury? I don't know. Oh, Rob Fellows was a runner on a UK TV drama with Warren Mitchell, The Professor, in the 1990s. He was best known as Alf Garnett, the character who became Archie Bunker in the US. Lovely guy. Oh, that's very cool. Yeah, I knew that All in the Family was based on a British show. And so Warren Mitchell was the guy who played the Archie Bunker character, huh? That's really cool. Thank you for sharing that. Rugged. Yeah, that's it. Tucker was rugged. Chris Juliano likes the poster. I must have seen this movie as a kid. I don't remember it, but I do have recollections of scenes with Forrest Tucker, though. I will have to rectify this. Oh, definitely. Definitely. Tucker did 3 movies, I think. The Abominable Snowman, The Crawling Eye, and The Cosmic Monster for, I think, this British film company. Or, I don't know if it was the same company, because I know The Abominable Snowman was done for Hammer. This one was a smaller independent company. I don't know if it had a connection to Hammer or not. I've enjoyed you showing the monster movie posters, so many great ones, but the one that stood out to me as incredibly special was The Uninvited. Never seen that poster before. Beautiful. Poster art back then was great. It was made to sell movies. So that if somebody was walking by a theater and saw that, they would just, I got to go see this. People don't do that anymore because theaters aren't like in your hometown. You got to drive to the multiplex and all that kind of stuff. So posters don't have that same type of, I guess, selling ability. And they also, I think the movie theaters just don't care. They use the same basic layouts. I think there's like 5 or 6 poster layouts, and it's all photos. You very rarely ever see a painted poster. Another Gen 42 says, yes, it would lose its charm, referring to my comment about CGIing it today. I think so. Sometimes when you have a really ridiculous idea and you make it too realistic, the believability factor goes out the window. I wonder how many times they had to shoot the little girl scene. Makes you wonder. And that's the one they got. That's the one they chose. Yeah, I'm going to throw a bomb at that one. You watch on the screen. See what happens. Good morning, Ash and Jekyll. Glad you could join us. Well, you're welcome, Rob. I'm having a good time doing these. Dr. Mass wants to know what my thoughts are on movie comic book adaptations. Is that something you would like to do? Certain movies, yeah, old movies. There's certain movies that would be fun to adapt. You know, something like this would be fun to do an adaptation of. Thing from Another World, you know. Maybe some of these movies, like, you know, it would be a really cool one to do would be to do Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, but use the actual shooting script and put back the dialogue that the monster had and all those sequences about the monster being blind and, you know, do the likenesses and all that and really restore it, because the soundtrack is lost for everything they shot. But the script still still exists. So that would be a really cool one to do, to be honest. Yeah. Yes, you do, Dennis. You got to see this. Fearless Freak. My second all-time monster flick is Them. That's a great one. That's an awesome film. Good morning, James. I think I said good morning already. Billy the Kid versus Dracula. That's a horrible movie. Did I ever see El Dorado? Of course I've seen El Dorado. Seen all of John Wayne's movies. That's a good one. I like it better than Rio Bravo. There, I said it. It's out in the open. Chuck Dixon and I agree on many things, but one of them that we do not agree upon is Rio Bravo. He loves it, and a lot of people love it. I mean, people consider it a classic Hawks John Wayne film. But I can't stand Rio Bravo. I try to watch it over and over, and it just drives me nuts. And primarily, it's because of the cast. I find Walter Brennan, who's amazing, annoying in this movie. Pedro Gonzalez is annoying. And Angie Dickinson is wooden and terrible. And Ricky Nelson isn't much better. Those three right there just ruin it for me, because I mean the Duke is at his peak at that time in the 50s. Has a great supporting cast. Claude Akins is in it, and Ward Bond and all that kind of stuff. But I just can't wrap my head around that movie. Sorry. Now El Dorado is basically the same movie redone, and then they did Rio Bravo too, which is basically the same plot. They just move things around. But there you have it. Look forward to every one of these episodes. Great work, Graham. Thanks, Dennis. George loves French bread pizza. Well, you'll love it even more if you watch The Crawling Eye while eating it. Elio's Pizza. I don't think so. I don't remember ever having that. Haha, there you go. The Iger sanction meets The Crawling Eye. That's about right, except for there's no nudity in The Crawling Eye. Oh, hi, Dan. Graham, I gave you a shout out in a recent YouTube video. Thanks for being such an inspiration to me and other artists. Oh, thank you, Dan. Appreciate that. I wish we could catch movies like this at the drive-in nowadays. Wouldn't that be fun? You know, with Hollywood stepping back and putting everything on hold because of COVID, with movie releases, the few movie theaters that are open, you know, could probably use some asses in the seats, so to speak, or cars in the lots for drive-ins, for those few drive-ins that are still there. And the local theaters that are in the towns, like we have one here in East Aurora that's been closed. You know, it can finally open now after it meets some ridiculous arbitrary rules that the governor sets down, but it's going to be opening soon. But there's not much it can show. You know, I was thinking how great it would be to do like old time double features, you know, and show old movies like this and just get people in the seats, especially during this time of year with Halloween. I think that would be awesome. Even get some of those 3D films, you know, show those out. That would be really cool. Posters are done by actors, agents, and attorneys these days. You might not be wrong, which is exactly why, every Marvel movie poster, these masked characters don't have masks on. You got to see the star's face. That's where the money is. Monsters, comic books, and Star Trek, 3 of my favorite things of all time. How can you not love this show? Graham is the man. Thank you, George. As I mentioned yesterday, those are the 3 pop culture influences in my life. In that order. Hail Graham, the chat, and CG lovers everywhere. Thank you. Crawling Eye versus Chanu. No, the Chanu might be a little outnumbered in that one. Let's see. I'm catching shit. Graham, how could you? Rio Bravo is great. Well, tricky Nelson next time when he's trying to deliver a line. He doesn't know what to do with his hands, and he goes like this. Well, Sheriff. He's great when he's singing. I do like the songs he and Dino do. But, and then there's Angie Dickinson. Well, John T. Unbearable. George loves to shoot us. It's a good final film for the Duke, directed by Don Siegel of Dirty Harry fame. Man of War 665, Neighbor of the Beast. Now there's a handle. Hail Graham and chat. Finally able to make a live one again. Better late than never. Glad to have you. Hope you're catching them on the reruns on the YouTube channel. Rob says, our taste in movies is spot on. I agree. Rio Bravo is good, just not El Dorado. The cinematography in El Dorado is really superior too. Some of those night shots, the colors, beautiful. Am I a fan of pulp heroes like The Shadow and The Phantom, or Zorro even? Oh, absolutely. Well, I drew The Phantom for King Features for 6 years. For the newspaper, the Sunday newspaper strip. Doc Savage I was a huge Doc Savage fan. In fact, Bane is based on Doc Savage. His look was based on James Bama's paintings, because he was supposed to be an evil Doc Savage, which is how it was presented to me when Chuck and I first started talking. So I went to the Bama paintings, and I shaved off the sides of Doc's head, put the bolts or the imports in there, and use that as a model for Bane's face. So yeah, I like pulp heroes. Welcome to communist New York. I am near Albany. Oh yeah. Well, you live near the emperor. You should tell the emperor to let us be free. How about Sergeant Rutledge? Is that a request for our Westerns? Woody Strode fan out there? I'm absolutely amazed at the talent that CG is attracting. Soon we'll have all the best creators. Those that don't know, CG stands for Comicsgate. It's sort of a movement that eschews SJW printing practices and puts the entertainment first and the customer first. And I wholly agree with that. Horror Westerns, Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell. Oh, that movie was something else. That's one of those movies where you go into it, and if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it for you, but you go into it thinking it's a relatively traditional Western, and then that frickin' movie just turns on you. I mean, yeah, there's some shit in there. You're like, Oh, what did I just see? What was it? Check it out. It's disturbing, but it's quite good. Tomorrow, Vinny T launches sign up for Shadow of the Kraken. I'm assuming that would be a crowdfunding thing he's launching. A sign up sheet for that. Oh, Dr. Mass just started reading his first Doc Savage book. Which one? The Doc Savage DC Comics collection is amazing. It's nothing like the books. That's the one where they modernized Doc. It was like Doc's son, I think. I was trying to get the license for Doc Savage at that time. I called up Condé Nast because I had an idea to that I was going to pitch to or publish myself. Actually, this is back in 1986, and so I talked to the lawyers at Condé Nast, and they said, well, they had just signed an agreement with DC Comics to produce the Doc Savage comics, and that I should contact them. I did, and they weren't interested in having me do anything with it. And when I saw what they did, I was like, yeah, I didn't like that. James Allen drew Mark Trail for King Feature Syndicate for 10 years. So you've done your time in the gulag. Now you're free. Free! Syndicate work is horrible. It's soul-crushing. Hyper Kaiju, always liked The Man Who Shot Liberty Valance. Love that movie. That one will definitely be done when we do Westerns. Bone Tomahawk is a rough movie. Good, but not like anything you've seen before. That is true. Oh, The Thousand-Headed Man. Okay. That's a good one to start. 1934, I believe that one came out. So it was early on in the Doc run. By around 1938, 39, they sorted to Doc became a little bit more humanized and weakened. More about gadgets and less about his physical strength as much. So my years, the zone that I like is 1933 through 1938. The Howling in Near Dark tonight. Fragaboom versus Malin tomorrow. It's going to be a great Halloween. Okay. I've seen some of the posters that Dan had put up for Fragaboom versus Malin. Let's get ready to rumble. Soul crushing. That is sort of what Ramona Fraden said, although very nice. Ramona Fraden is a jewel. She's one of the last of the golden age artists that are still around. I think she's 90 something. Just a wonderful lady and so talented, and she still draws, and her drawings still look great. And of course, one of the few women cartoonists of that era. What's the scariest horror film you've ever seen? Well, I guess it would depend on the time I saw them. I mean, when the first one I ever saw was Frankenstein Meets the Wolfman, and that scared the crap out of me as a kid, the Wolfman particularly. Of course, now it doesn't scare me. As an adult, I thought Alien, the first Alien movie, was scary. It was also one of those movies that you went into it because it was pre-internet. You know, you didn't know anything about it. I just knew it was science fiction because of its title. And that movie went off in areas I wasn't expecting either, just like Bone Tomahawk. So that one was scary. Do you think the Doc Savage movie got him right, or was it another savaging? It was savaging of the source material. The production of that film was just a big shit show. I mean, you could tell that they were trying to shoot it straight at one point, and then the producers probably got cold feet because the template for any kind of superhero stuff was Batman for success, Batman TV show, and so then the ridiculous camp got thrown in there, and that dopey John Philip Sousa soundtrack as well. I thought Ron Ely was great cast as Doc. There's some really cool scenes, like in the beginning when the bullet comes through and he reaches into the wall and pulls it out, and you see his shirt just go, as his muscles flex up as he's pulling the bullet out of the wall. I thought that was great. When he's running around the skyscraper girders, that was a cool scene. And then the very end where he checks his voicemail on that record, and somebody's calling for his help, and he runs out, gets into his car, and it's like like off to do heroic stuff. I like the ending, but everything in between, not so much. Soul crushing, working for King Feature Syndicate. Yep. Yeah. Let's just scroll back here. I think I got everybody covered. Yeah. Yeah, we're good. All right, gang. So tomorrow is the high holy day for all of us monster fans. It is Halloween. And we're going to do Thing from Another World. Oh, wait, we got a couple more things coming in here. I liked Aliens the second better. Hard not to not like Hicks and the Space Marines, and being a jarhead, it was good that kept a lot of references from my time in. Oh, cool. Well, thank you for your service, Rob. Glad I caught you. I did my homework for tomorrow. At 41, finally watched The Thing from Another World. Oh, well, you definitely got to chime in tomorrow, because I want to hear your thoughts on seeing that movie for the first time, because it was transformational for me. When is the final day to back the Chanu campaign? Well, the campaign stays up in demand at where it is right now, up until I start fulfilling it. Then I'm going to overprint, so I'll have books to sell. But when I'm ready to launch my next project, which will be shortly after fulfillment begins on this one, which should be mid-December, that's when it will come down, and that's when the next campaign will go up. So there you have it. Okay. All right, my friends, that should do it. And since we're talking about the Chanu, if you haven't backed it, please go there. There's lots of goodies that you're getting extra because all the stretch goals have been met. So the $25 for this large format perfect bound book, you're really getting your money's worth, and your books are going to be signed too. And plus you get all the extra goodies that are in there. So take a look at it. Let me just put it up there for everybody. And where are we going? Campaign. There we go. I put it in there. Hey, you know what? Why don't we do this too? Why don't we show, since we're doing monsters, let's show the Chanu movie, as it were.
Good evening. Tonight's big story centers on the state of emergency declared this morning in Buffalo.
Between 4,000 and 5,000 cars said to be abandoned on city streets.
Buffalo is still very much a city under siege.
Space's wind whips the snow into 30-foot drifts.
Falls Air Base, one of their
Low tonight, 10 below zero. Get off the streets and highways as soon as possible.
Who doesn't want to see that as a movie? That trailer was put together by Nick Grosh, who did a great job, and I'm going to hire Nick to do my my next campaign video as well. So, a couple more people. Hey, is the snow globe included in any of the levels, or is it separate? It's separate, but if it's also an add-on. So if you buy the book, when you check out, you can add the snow globe to it. Yeah, and I'm also going to be putting up within the next day or so. I've designed beer cans for a local brewery, 42 North in Brewing in East Aurora, is producing a Chanu Brew Imperial Stout beer. In fact, today they begin brewing the beer, and I'm going to go down there to the brewery. I'll take some pictures while I'm there, and they should be. It'll be ready by the beginning of December. And I've designed the labels for the cans, and they look awesome. But I'm going to put the cans up. We can't sell the beer because of postal regulations, but we can sell the collectible cans. So that's going to go up as a perk level as well within the next day or so. So if you're into beer cans, beer collecting, you'll probably want to take a look at that as well. Just ordered my snow globe, or his snow glob. Want the beer can autographed. How much? I haven't. I've got a. I'm going to talk to them, find out what my costs are going to be, and figure that out. But that'll be up pretty soon. Do you know the comic book of the World War II tanks with the ghost? Yeah, the haunted tank. Dr. Mask, when is the event of the brewery? It's either going to be the 5th or the 12th of December. We're still working on that. It'll all depend on, I want to have the comics there for the event. But if there's a problem in shipping or printing or something like that, we'll have it without the comics because the beer will be ready. Okay. All right, guys. That should wrap up today. I thank you again for checking in this morning with me. I hope you have a great day today, and we'll see you tomorrow on Halloween for The Thing from Another World. Thanks. Have a great one, gang. Bye.